Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live with me, Chase Lee, my co-host,
Ryan Sudfield.
That's fucking right. And hey, listen, if you're new to the show, welcome. What we do is we take a look at the movies coming out on Friday. We will pick one, and we will honor said movie by making a top 5 list pertaining to an actor, actress, genre, what have you, correlating with the movie that we pick. And the cool thing about the show is that it's live, so we have no idea what the hell's going to come out of our mouths, and we don't know each other's lists. So it's just, a bunch of surprises. It's great television. This is internet, so I guess internet, radio, television. All right, so welcome once again. If you're watching on YouTube and you want an audio-only version of the podcast, link will be in the description below. And if you're listening on Spreaker and you want a video version, link will be in the description below for that. So before we get into our subject, Brian, how are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really great on this quote-unquote Saturday. Okay, so to be honest with you guys, we're recording a bunch pre-recorded, but that doesn't really make a difference on when we record it, as long as it comes out on Saturday for you lovely listeners. But I'm doing pretty well. It's just another episode, man. I'm excited for this one, and I'm excited because, Brian, what are we doing today?
In honor of Snowden, we are honoring the film star, Mr. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or as most people know him as JGL, or as I consider him, my man crush. Hey, I'm not G, but he is a beautiful dude.
Yeah, so according to Brian, he's not G. I guess that's what kids call gay nowadays. No, that's
what I'm. That's what Danny McBride says in Vice Principals. He's like, first of all, Deshaun, I ain't G, okay?
Okay, that's a great callback because I totally forgot about that. Vice Principals is a good show. You guys need to get on that shit. Anyways, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I love this guy, dude. Like, just from everything I've seen from him acting-wise, even with his first directorial debut and the fact that he's doing a lot more projects now in his career, in the past, I would say 5 to 10 years, this guy's been on fire. Because if you look at his IMDb list, he's been acting since the 90s, and he was in, like, Angels in the Outfield and stuff. He was in a few TV spots and movies and whatnot. But he wasn't really, like, prominent in film until, like, the early 2000s. So I find that kind of interesting. So most of our picks will probably be mid-2000s on up, and it's not just because we're, a couple of millennials talking about movies. It's the fact that most of his movies have been in the latter half of, his career. So, I'm really excited to talk about him. So, Brian, when you think of good old JGL, what's the first thing that comes to your mind besides having the hots for him? Which, by the way, he's not a bad looking dude. I wouldn't put him in my top 5, but he's not a bad looking dude.
With JGL, he as a kid, I would watch one particular film over and over again, which is on my top 5 list, and people would think, "Oh, how could that be on your top 5 list? You were born like 5 years after it came out." Hey, when you have parents like mine, sometimes you get to see some of those special movies. I like the guy a lot. I think he's a fantastic talent. At first he was kind of in like the nice little quirky films and like the kind of like some of the indie type of stuff, but like in like this decade, that's when I started to realize, oh, this guy's actually like a fantastic actor, and he's one of the best up-and-coming actors we have working today. So, I'm really excited to honor JGL because I think he's a terrific talent, and is an actor that is long overdue with an Academy Award, and we'll get to that later on when we get to a particular film on this list.
I'm sure Brian and I, we're channeling our sixth sense for this episode because I'll guarantee I'm putting money on it, folks. We got the same number 1, and I am pretty distraught that he didn't get even like nominated or even talked about. So I'm really excited to talk about good old JGL. He's very talented, and speaking of talented, let's start with that list, son. So let's not waste any more time. Let's move on to the number 5 slot. So Brian, I have to ask you every single week, what is your number 5 favorite Joseph Gordon-Levitt film of all time so far?
My number 5, I'm going with a film that's probably higher on many other people's lists. I don't know how high it is on your list, per se. Hell, I don't even know if it's on your list. My number 5 is Looper. Indeed. I'll be honest with you. I didn't get the chance to see this in the theater. This was one of the few films that came out in 2012 that unfortunately I didn't get around to seeing. and it was like everywhere. But I'm like, I don't have time to go to the movies and see this, so I didn't see it in the theater. I watched it the moment it came out on DVD. I'll be honest with you, first time I saw it, I didn't really like it at all. I actually kind of disliked it. But then I watched it again, and I'm like, this is actually a pretty darn good film. I've always had this opinion, and I'll say is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's great in the film. I mean, obviously he's channeling a younger Bruce Willis. I mean, with the makeup, which I'm shocked was not nominated for any Oscar. The writing by Rian Johnson and the direction by him was great. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, I mean, you have an interesting premise, and he's great in the movie. He's great. He has like suave to him, and he's very cocky and stuff. This was a great year for JGL. He was in so many movies. Like he was in this, The Dark Knight Rises, Lincoln. So this was a really diverse year for him because he was in a superhero movie, a sci-fi film, then a historical drama. So this was what I call a great year for JGL's career. And I'm not going to say much about Looper, but I will say it is a pretty good film. And if you want to watch any of Rian Johnson's films before Star Wars Episode 8 comes out, this is definitely one you should check out. He also made Brick with him, which is not on my list. That's a very good film. He directed a few episodes of Breaking Bad. The third to last episode, which I consider the best episode of the show, as well as probably the best television episode I've ever seen. So, yeah, pretty good film. My number 5.
I am going to pass, but that's a very good pick. So my number 5, I'm going to go. I got to stand up for this movie because not only was it actually a visually well done family drama, if you will, I was just kind of shocked that this movie tanked as bad as it did last year. And I'm going to stand up for The Walk. I know a lot of people really dislike his accent, his French, like, le doux. Like, it didn't bother me. I actually found like it was a little rough at the start, but as the movie progressed, he kind of sunk into his role a little bit more, and you did not really see or hear that accent. You felt like you were watching this character and whatnot. The visuals of that movie are outstanding. Robert Zemeckis knows how to make a film. He just does. Like, he's one of those like classic directors that's just really great at storytelling. I think this one's no different. I love all the suspense in the film. Like when you get to the very end, when he actually does the walk, it is some of the most breathtaking, suspenseful scenes I saw last year. And I cannot believe that this movie tanked as bad as it did. And I remember I saw it in theaters, and I think it was the IMAX screen or whatever. It was like me and 3 other people on a Saturday. And I was like, what is going on? Like, so, yeah, I don't know why that movie got robbed as much as it did last year, but I highly enjoyed it very much. And I would recommend it to anyone that wants to see a movie about chasing your dreams and not giving up and just continuing on that path and delivering and becoming a success. So, yeah, I really like The Walk quite a bit. I know it's right. I know it's not on your list. So, You know, I was on your episode when you reviewed the movie. We both really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it as well. I was the youngest person in the theater when I saw the movie. It was like it was me and then like maybe like 2 people in their 20s and everyone else was about 40. So I saw it on IMAX as well. Breathtakingly beautiful. I'm shocked that this movie did not do as well as it should have. Now, granted, I will agree with you. The accent was a little iffy at first, but I mean, I still laugh about that. I need you to help me pull this off. Like, I still laugh about that, but still, I mean, it's a good film. It's a great story and everything. Yes, him, like, you know, like speaking, breaking the fourth wall was a little weird, but I really enjoyed the film, and I'm kind of glad that it's on one of our lists. Yeah, no, it's a great tale, a great uplifting tale about courage, and I recommend it to anyone. Yeah. So that's my number 5. So moving on to number 4, Brian, what do you got?
Number 4, I have a cap on, and I'm going to represent the baseball by going with Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, sure you are, because obviously that's just such a great movie. Like, listen, I will say this: as a kid, it's fine, but like, hey, I'm not going to put it as like, you know, like, oh my God, it's like one of the best. It's like,
hey, it's nostalgic for me. Like, it was a movie I would repeat on the VHS like all the time. Like when I started learning how to work a VHS player, I would always play that movie. I don't know why. I would always play it.
Brian, I grew up in the 90s, and Angels in the Outfield was one of those movies that everyone in that was my age watched it, and I realized the nostalgia is there. It's just, for me personally, I'm just I can't do it, but. Hey,
we all have the same thing. Like you're obsessed with heavyweights.
I am
I'm obsessed with this.
Because
I'm obsessed with this.
Listen, I was fat as a kid, and I'm still kind of fat now. But I also played baseball as a kid as well. So there you go.
I played baseball too when I was a kid. So I mean, like, I'm able to relate to that. But like, okay, his character I feel so bad for because he's a nice kid and everything. That his father like abandons him. Like that scene in the courtroom, honestly, just kind of kills me. But look, I kind of joke about the film. Dad, when are we gonna be a family again? From where I'm sitting, I say when the Angels win the pennant. Great observation, Dad. Great job, Dad. But no, it's a nice little family Disney sports film. It's one that not a lot of people ever bring up when it comes to Disney sports films. I get it's like 20. I think it's exactly 20 years old, to be quite honest. I'm not entirely sure, but I love it. I love Danny Glover in it. Tony Danza is good in it. Christopher Lloyd is the angel. Look, it may be looked at as a silly Disney family film, but I really enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot, and I wish it's on YouTube if anyone's interested in watching it. Like I started watching it again. I haven't finished it, but I still love it. I still love it to this day. I don't know why. I guess I wanted to put some of my childhood on this list because pretty much every other film on this list is rated R. So
for the most part, yeah. No, listen, like I said, nostalgia's there and everything. I'm just, it's whatever. Yeah, besides this movie, he really didn't blow up until the 2000s because which show was he in, Brian? Third Rock from the Sun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so he was in that show, and that's where he got, like, most of his fame, and then he was, in Angels in the Outfield, and everyone kind of recognized him and stuff. And a little fun fact, all right. Matthew McConaughey is also in Angels in the Outfield, and so is, Danny Glover, and then Tony Danza. It's such a weird fucking cast. Like it's incredible. So good for you, Brian. All right, so there's really nothing more to say. My number 4, I'm gonna go Brian's number 5. I'm going with Looper, and I actually did see this in theaters. And it was one of the few movies that I remember seeing with my brother when he was in community college, and I come home on the weekends or whatever, and we'd go see a movie or whatever. I remember 3 of them specifically. Wreck-It Ralph, Sinister, and Looper. And Looper, to me, I did not know what to expect. Because at this point, I never saw Brick, which is what Rian Johnson did before it. And, of course, now we all know, famously, he's doing Star Wars Episode 8. But I did not know what to expect with Looper. I just saw the trailers. I thought it looked so interesting and so unique in terms of what the sci-fi genre can bring and whatnot. And I had a huge crush, and I still do, on Emily Blunt. So I was like, oh, perfect, she's in there. And then Bruce Willis, listen, I like Bruce quite a bit when he actually wants to show up to work. Now, in Looper, this is where he shows up to work. In the past, I want to say like 5-8 years, this is probably the movie where you can go, he hasn't checked out quite.
I would say Moonrise Kingdom.
That too, but still, like, out of all the ones he's kind of acted in for almost a decade now, there's only like a handful of ones you can go, yeah, he actually tried. This is one of them, and I really like the story. It's very interesting. You have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as this guy who basically kills people for a living, and then Bruce Willis comes back and tricks him and stuff, and then chaos ensues, and he tries to figure out like, what's happening and stuff, and what's behind all this, why does it become this way? And then you find out at the end like who it is, and it's like I want to kill that fucking kid. No, it's a really interesting and really cool sci-fi tale. If you guys are into science fiction, this is definitely one of the best ones in the past, I want to say 5 years at least. It is so good, and the fact that it's my number 4, you guys know that this list is fucking stacked if this is at number 4. So I'm going with Looper as my number 4, and just like with Brian, I don't want to spoil much because it is, it's just a trip. Like you need to like watch it for yourself and just kind of have it unravel and not have anything spoiled. So
do not watch it drunk or do not watch it stoned.
Hey, whatever Brian said. I'm not going to attest to whether I did either or none. So all right, let's go on to number 3. What do you got?
Number 3, I'm going with the Don John.
You like Don John that much?
I love Don John.
Damn, son. Okay, convince me.
Well, okay, first of all, I love whenever it's very rare for a movie to be made here in my state. This movie was only shot around the corner from my college, like 5 minutes away from my college. So it was shot like right around the corner from where I am right now as we speak. And I'll be honest, when I first like heard about this movie, I'm like, it's just about a guy who's addicted to porn.
Yeah,
that's basically me. So all right,
Brian. God damn it, you stole my joke. I was never mind.
Too late. Well, that's what happens when you don't have it on your list, or if you have it on your list.
I don't.
And anywho, I think it's funny. I think it's charming. It's a nice romance movie. Like it's like saying, hey, girls are bitches. Hey, guys are douches. Like, I mean, it's true. Like, a lot of girls just want what's in the movies, and the guys just want sex. True. I mean, I'm 18. I have to agree.
Okay, what does that mean? Are you saying because I'm like older than you that I just lost my libido and I'm just like some like flaccid sack just walking throughout Earth and I don't appreciate those things like you do? Okay,
that's not what I said. But if
I see how it is.
If you think I said that, but all right.
Brian emphasized his age. He was like, I'm 18. I know what's up. Brian, we all went to college, son. Okay.
Okay. All right. In all seriousness, I do think it's a well-written movie. I think it's well-directed for what he had to do. I think he did a good job with it. I love the like whole sequences with him. Like you remember the whole sequence? Like it's him getting in the car, then driving, then yelling something. Hey, fuck you, fucking cat, and fucking blah. And then he goes to the church and stuff. And it's that shot of him running up so cornily to the church. Then you see the cross on the top of the church. Like it was also really well edited, and it was like 82 minutes long. So this was a pretty short film, and it's weird because he has sex with Julianne Moore too. So no, but I think it's well done, and I just brought up how much I love Angels in the Outfield. It was great seeing those two reunite. And then you see Brie Larson just sitting there as hot as always, and she doesn't even say a word until like the last 10 minutes of the movie. So whatever. But I love it. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a nice trope on the romance movies we have. I think that's why I love it so much.
I will say this. I think it's a nice directorial debut. I think it's solid. Like, it's not anything mind-blowing, but as for a first movie, it's good.
It's just a simple movie. I think he didn't want to start with anything too big. He just wanted to do something simple.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with simple, and I thought it was delivered pretty well. I wouldn't put it on my list personally, because I got 3 other picks that I just think are ace in the hole.
I get you. I got you.
My number 3, I'm gonna go with the one of the few romance films that make me want to throw wherever the fuck I'm holding at the time at the TV screen and then just go on a tirade and just hate everyone. And that would be 500 Days of Summer. I love this film, and I also hate it. I love it because it's actually a really good romantic kind of comedy, kind of like what Don John was. It tackles all the tropes of like a romance film while adding like a bit of levity to it with the comedy and whatnot, but still has like a lot of heart to it. And the reason I hate it is because of the ending, because you just fucking hate life and you realize that there's fucking people like that exist in this world. That's why you hate it. Not because it's a bad ending. Well, actually, to some people, it's actually a bad ending. But for me personally, it's a realistic ending. That's why I like it so much, because it tears up my heart because it's realistic, and I realize like what he's going through. I have experienced that with past relationships myself. But on top of all that, the writing is very swift. It's sharp. I love the performances from Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel. I think they have great chemistry together. It was just a nice little romance film. There's really nothing more to say. And little fun fact for the movie, the director Mark Webb went on to do The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the writers also did another romance film that's one of my favorites, and that's The Spectacular Now. And they did it, Fault in Our Stars. So those 2 guys, yeah, they're my 2 guys. They're on fire, son. All right, so that is my number 3. Brian, I'm going to take a gander, take a little guess and say that this is on your list somewhere.
I will have to say it is.
So are you going to pass, or is it your number 3?
I am going to pass.
Oh,
I just did my number 3.
Oh my God, guys! I got like 4 hours of sleep last night. But little side note, I went to my friend's house and we played on the VR headset, and I played like a Suicide Squad game, and that game was way better than the movie, and I enjoyed myself. So, but anyways, yeah, I completely forgot that you go first. All right, guys, getting into our number two and our number one. I still contend that we have the same number one. So I already know what Brian's number two is now. So I don't know if Brian knows what my number two is, but we'll get to all that. Well, he actually might have an inkling. But I know that we have the same number one for sure because we gush about it all the time. So let's get to that number one and gush about it. Brian, is your number two 500 Days of Summer?
Of course it is.
Yep.
Okay. Another fun fact about these writers is that they're also writing the biopic about the making of The Room, if you didn't know that.
Yep.
So that's pretty badass. I will agree with you on this statement. It's one of the best romance films I've ever seen. I think it was my favorite. When we did the romantic comedy episode, I think I put it as my number one. I don't remember, to be quite honest with you. It was definitely in my top two. I love this movie to death. I'm not a romance film fanatic really at all. This is one of those few romance films that really gets to me. Like, I think it's funny. I think it's charming. It is depressing. Yes, the ending is very aggravating, but it's still like a great way to end it, even though you're just like, why would you like make us depressed, Mark Webb? Like, why? Thank you, you lazy motherfucker. Anyways, JGL's great. Zoe's great. Clark Gregg, no one ever talks about him. He's fucking awesome in this. And you basically said everything I need to say. As someone who doesn't love romance movies, this is one of the few ones that actually really I love. And it's like my sister's favorite film ever. Like she will always say this, that if there's one film I can rewatch over and over again, it's easily 500 Days of Summer. And I will say, Monica, thank God you say that, because generally some of the films that you pick are not really the best, although her love for film has gone better, probably because, she has me as a brother, so thank you. And yep, 500 Days of Summer, cinematic masterpiece, should have gotten the screenplay nomination, JGL should have been nominated, Zoe should have been nominated, and the film should have been nominated for Best Picture. So Academy, what am I doing? Fuck you for not I think I was about to do a Spider-Man thing because you brought up Spider-Man, so I don't know. And at least the romance in Spider-Man was good until they ruined it. But this summer, fucking fantastic. Love it to death.
Yeah, Brian, you might want to calm your Tourette's in your hand. All right, so yeah, no, I totally agree. And you know what? I just now thought of this as you were talking about it. You know what 500 Days of Summer kind of reminds me of?
What?
Is what La La Land might be, except on a more serious level,
Yeah,
kind of like that fun, playful, romantic comedy with musicals and stuff. Like it just, I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
I think La La Land, like you said, is going to definitely be more serious. I don't think La La Land's going to be as funny as this one.
No, but I mean, it's going to have some funny bits in it. But
totally.
It's going to be like the more serious version of this. So I don't know. That gets me more excited. So. Yeah, no, that's a great number two. So for my number two,
I don't know what it is. I can't really. I mean, it can't be that film. No.
Which film are you thinking of?
Is it a Christopher Nolan film?
Why would I put Inception on my list? He's barely even in the movie.
That's true. I have to think.
I'll give Brian 10 more seconds. Start throwing them out. Come on. What do you got?
Treasure Planet?
The fuck? Treasure
Planet's awesome.
Fucking
Treasure Planet's awesome.
Oh, dear Lord. All right, Brian, sit. Brian, sit in your chair. All right, so just like I said with Looper, I had never seen Brick before. And so after I saw Looper, I wanted to go back and see Rian Johnson's first film. I saw Brick, loved it. Like, I have never seen such a weird combination where it reminded me of like a John Hughes film, except film noir. Like, that's how fucking oddball this type of movie was. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a kid in high school, and he gets involved in like, you know, drugs and stuff and like a drug ring, but it's all within a high school, and it's got like a noir element because there's like a mystery behind it and stuff. It's so unique, and how that film was presented. I've never have seen anything like it, but I love the performance of JGL quite a bit in this one because he was very subdued. He was very quiet, and he was a very humble person. He wasn't like outspoken or anything. Because when you look at like a Don John or even the Walk character, 500 Days of Summer, the guy he's very outgoing and he's very full of life. This one, he just plays a really kind of awkward teenager, and it works. He plays that so well. But like I said, with the cinematography and how bleak and kind of grim it is shot because of, you know, with all the drugs and stuff, and then when you have, you know, the editing of like a film noir, it's just a unique experience, and I would recommend it to anyone that's kind of like into like mysteries or film noirs or hell, even drug films, because this is definitely a unique one. But I really like Brick quite a bit, and that was one of the first bigger ones that he did back in the day. Not bigger ones in terms of the film, but bigger ones as in like one of the first big roles he ever got. So yeah, I like it quite a bit. Brian, you already talked about Brick, right?
It's not on my list.
I know it's not on your list because I know what your number one is.
You know, you brought up John Hughes vibe. I never thought of that until now. I felt this would be what I would call John Hughes's David Lynch film. It's John Hughes meets David Lynch.
Well, it had like the charm and the kind of like overall vibe of like a John Hughes high school film with all these.
It did. Well, granted, I've only seen it one time, so I don't really remember it all too well. It did take me at least, I think, like 3 tries to watch it because the first 2 times I'm like,
it's very slow. It's a slow movie.
It is really slow.
But then again, that's what kind of like the film noirs are all about, man. So it's not that slow burn experience. So yeah, check it out. I saw it on Netflix, but like that was 5 years ago. I don't even think it's on there anymore, but check it out and see if it is. All right. So guys, this is it. Now, I remember when I saw this movie in theaters, I walked out going, wow, that was really great. I can't wait to see what it does in the Oscar nominations. Guess how many nominations it got? Brian, would you like to answer that? 0. Fucking goose egg, motherfucker. It just kind of astounds me to this day, and I'm still bitter about it after 5 years because it should have deserved something. This is a really well done drama, comedy, heart. It makes you feel good about life. It makes you just appreciate your friends and family around you. It's such a great uplifting film that's got a lot of great heart to it, a lot of great comedy, a lot of great drama. Brian, what is our number one?
Okay, so this is the 3rd week in a row that we've had a number 1. I mean, we are now going back on the realm of us having the same number 1s. Ladies and gentlemen, the top 5 Saturdays Live favorite Joseph Gordon-Levitt film of all time is, of course, G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra.
I was going to say fucking Night Before. What the?
Hey, Night Before is a good movie. Night Before is a good movie. Don't mock Night Before.
I wouldn't put it as my favorite, though.
No, in all seriousness, ladies and gentlemen, it's 50-50.
Yeah, 50-50, guys. Man, me and Brian talk about that one scene all the time where at the very end when he's in the car and he literally breaks his vocal cords because you can hear it. And like he screams at the top of his lungs because he just lost all hope and he doesn't believe in himself anymore that he can fight the good fight and try to beat the cancer. And anyways, that's not spoiling anything. It's just one little scene in the movie, but because you don't know whether he lives or dies. But anyways, if you guys don't know what this movie's about, the screenwriter, I forgot his name. It's Will something.
Will Reiser.
Will Reiser, thank you. So Will Reiser actually was diagnosed with cancer, and his friends kind of, made him feel better by, joking with him stuff and really kind of pushing him through life and whatnot. And so he wrote a movie based on his experiences. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays that character, and Seth Rogen plays his friend. And Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, his partner, also produced it. And it is directed by Jonathan Demme, something like that.
Jonathan Levine.
Levine. Yeah, there we go. Shit, man.
Jonathan Demme is the guy who made Silence of the Lambs.
Well, it is a pretty dark movie, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So I apologize because the Jonathan that we're talking about, he also did Warm Bodies with
and the night before.
And the night before, yeah. So yeah, but this one, like I said, it's just a movie about someone getting cancer, and like you might think to yourself, like, oh, it's gonna be so depressing, but then again, the performances are what really drive this film. And if you had any doubts that Seth Rogen can act, first of all, I would direct you towards Take This Waltz and Steve Jobs. But then if you don't believe me anymore, you can go to 50-50 and show that having him as a supporting role is also a really good thing. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays this really kind of nice guy, and he gets struck down with this unfortunate event in life, and Seth Rogen has to cheer him up, and his relationship's not really working out with his girlfriend and his parents and stuff, and he's getting frustrated. But knowing that you have those friends and those people that support you by your side, kind of uplifting your spirits, is like one of the best qualities about life. And this film completely showcases that and puts it in the forefront, and it's just so beautiful. It's a beautiful film about someone trying to cope with this unfortunate curveball that they were thrown at, and I really like it quite a bit. Like it's oh man, yeah. I would say it's definitely one of my favorite dramedies, I guess, in the past 10 years for sure. I was so blown away when I watched it in theaters that when I walked out, I was confident. I was like, wow, this is going to be a really great Oscar contender. Nothing. Like I'm telling you, like when you watch the movie and you're along this journey, and you get to that car scene with JGL, you hear his vocal cords like break. It'll make you cry. It will, and I'm tearing up right now thinking about that shit. So, it's a really great film, great performance. And I still think it's the best that he's ever done. Until I see Snowden, of course, which at the time of this recording, I see it in 3 days. I'm excited for that. Brian, what about you? Why is 50-50 so important to you?
It's like from the trailers, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to be slightly sad, but it looks so funny. I didn't expect it to be as deep as it was. Like, it was still really, really funny, but it had so many layers to it that I'm just like, wow, I mean, no one ever expected a funny movie about cancer, but, like, it still had so much heart to it that you're just like, well, I can't relate to it. I don't know anyone that has cancer, so I can't relate to it. But I could tell you that just like watching this guy who was having like the perfect life. I mean, he lived in a good home. He had a good job. His girlfriend was good, and this was before the girlfriend turned into what she turned into. Like he had everything. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He didn't do anything. And then when he finds out he has this, he's like, well, fuck. I mean, what am I going to do? And then Seth Rogen comes in and helps him. And it's great. Their back and forth is amazing. I put this as my favorite Seth Rogen film, even though he's not the lead, but he's a very crucial part to the story. I mean, as great as JGL is, I mean, JGL really should have been nominated for Best Actor. Would he have won? I don't know. I mean, John Dujardin was great in The Artist. George Clooney was great in The Descendants. Would JGL have won? I don't know, to be quite honest with you, but this film should have been nominated for Best Actor. The screenplay should have been nominated because the screenplay was fucking fantastic. Did the film have to be nominated? Not necessarily, but I mean, the script and JGL should have been nominated hands down. And then you have the great supporting performances from Bryce Dallas Howard and Anna Kendrick and Angelica Houston. Like, everyone is amazing in this movie. And then, of course, like I said, it's so funny. The sequence at the art exhibit, Seth Rogen taking out his phone. Oh, I fucking nailed that cunt. Can you believe No. And even JGL was funny in the movie too. Like, he was hilarious, and I just love it so much. It's one of the best films I've seen this decade. It was my favorite film of 2011, tied with The Descendants. And if anyone has not seen 50-50, they should check it out, because nearly every film reviewer that I'm friends with, including Chase, loves 50-50. There's not one film reviewer I know who doesn't dislike this movie. So 50-50 is the best Joseph Gordon-Levitt film, period. The end.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just one of those experiences that you just don't expect whatsoever, and you walk out just feeling uplifted because when I was struck down with like my medical condition, I was in the hospital for 5 days. It was one of the most depressing things ever. And my friends brought a portable DVD player. I still remember this. They brought The Hangover, the movie, and we watched that in my hospital room. And laughter really does kind of get you out of that funk and really just kind of makes you appreciate life, even though you're struck down with these events. And I think this film captured that beautifully. So, yeah, that's it, guys, for the episode in terms of the list. Here is our list right here. It's a red marker today because we're going fancy in this shit. We have 3 in common, and we both have the same number 1. And I recommend all of these, even the ones that he picked that I didn't pick, and even the ones that I picked. Brian says he likes as well. So, yeah, I really had fun with this episode, but we're not done yet, folks, because we got to move on to some of the ones that just barely did not make that fucking list. And I have a few, and by a few I mean 3. I'll go with Don John, sure. Inception, of course. Not a big role in it, but it's a great film. And then, of course, Dark Knight Rises. I like it. Sue me. I like all 3 of them. So, yeah, that's it for me. So, Brian, what about you?
You brought up The Walk. Really like that one. Brick, good one. I liked The Night Before. I love Treasure Planet. What else is there? Inception, Dark Knight Rises. I didn't hate Premium Rush, but I surprisingly enjoyed it for what it was. And even though Sin City 2 wasn't really that great, I loved JGL in it. So, yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I forgot about all those. I'll put those on my list, too. Yeah, as far as dishonorable mentions, guys, I got to be honest with you. I don't have any. Out of all the ones I've seen, like, I've only seen a handful of his movies. And by handful, I mean, like, maybe 8 or 9 total, and they've all either been like either okay or pretty good or great. So I haven't really found one where I was like, oh my God, that was awful, JGL. What the hell are you doing? And now a lot of people might put Premium Rush, but I never saw it. So, yeah, Brian, enlighten me. Is there one that just you did not like?
The only one I didn't like is G.I. Joe. That's it. That's the only film of his I don't like.
Was he in the first one or second one?
First one.
I don't even remember him in the first one, and I saw the first one.
He played the villain with all the mask and stuff, like the whole bodysuit.
See, I don't even remember that fucking movie. I watched it
because it sucks. That's why.
Well, I wouldn't say sucks. If you want to go in and just shut your brain off and have like a good time that way, sure. But yeah, as far as like awful, no, I wouldn't even put it anywhere close to that category. It's a stupid action film, whatever. Yeah, I don't have. I'm trying to think. I honestly can't think of any. So, yeah, I guess JGL, you're hitting it, man. You're doing good so far. And
does he have anything coming out?
Well, of course, Snowden. That's what we're honoring. That's and then I forgot what the list said. He's got a couple, but nothing like prolific like a Snowden, because this is a very important movie for his career. Because let's see, The Walk. Yeah, The Walk is the only movie I can recall that he's played an actual real-life person. Is that correct? Can you think of any more?
Well, he played Abraham Lincoln's son in Lincoln.
That's true.
In the movie The Lookout, he played the character named Chris Pratt.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never saw The Lookout. So.
I'm on IMDb right now, so...
Okay. Yeah, no.
Well, he has that R-rated musical comedy he's supposedly doing with Channing Tatum.
Oh, I'm cool. I'm down for it. So no, but I think that Snowden is probably the most important thing that he's gonna do with his career up until this point so far, because like I said, this is one of those ongoing stories that doesn't have an ending. So he's playing like a very prolific figure in the past 4 or 5 years. So it'll be very interesting to see how that film does and reciprocates with audience members and whatnot.
Totally.
So, yeah, so that is it for this week. Brian, what are we doing next week?
Next week, Magnificent 7 comes out. We are honoring the film star, the greatest non-Morgan Freeman African American, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, thanks for being nonchalant.
Shalom.
My brethren. So I'm not going to say that on air. Anyways, yeah, I'm really excited to talk about some Denzel Washington. I think he's going to be one of those actors to be remembered whenever he retires from acting and whatnot, which I don't even see. He'll probably be acting until like he has fucking gray hairs falling out of his head. He's just one of those guys that I just always look forward to because he's got so much charisma and he's such a badass. Like I just love seeing him to do anything with like action or anything that's suspense or whatever. So I'm really excited to talk about some Denzel Washington. So yeah, that will do it for this week's episode, guys, of Top 5 Saturdays Live. Brian, where can the people find you online?
Twitter at BrianSutt98 and on YouTube at Brian Sutfield.
You gonna plug your podcast?
Oh yes, subscribe to the Real Cinephiles YouTube channel, please. Thank you, much appreciated. New episode every Thursday.
Yeah, go subscribe to that and go take a listen, guys. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Real Chaseley. Subscribe to the YouTube page, follow on Spreaker, spread this shit around, and tell people that this is the definitive Top 5 show. So we will see you guys next week for the Top 5 Denzel Washington films. And the intro and outro music is done by my friends band Fervent Roze. Check them out. Peace out, everyone. See you next week. Denzel Washington. All right. Music. Oh, JGL. Addicted to porn.
I need you to help me pull this off.
See you guys next week.